Hello guys and welcome to another live stream, and today we have a very polarizing topic, which is the opening up of the superchargers to other cars and other brands. Sorry. Now please forgive my raspy voice today. I've been having a couple of bad days and I've been requiring a lot of sleep in the past 72 hours, and I've been doing that, so it's my body just saying, computer says no, and you need to get some sleep. So yeah, but here we are with the news that as of today, Tesla is opening up the superchargers to other car manufacturers. And this is only happening in the Netherlands as a pilot project. So I did a poll before we got started, and about 61% said, well, it's only good for other brands. It's good for the community and for Tesla. And I believe that is the case as well. But let's dive into the details and into the facts before we go to the opinions. Oh, thank you, Ecamm. Thank you. I will get better. I just needed a lot of sleep to get through this, and it has been quite busy at work. I've been doing a lot of overtime, and then my kids at home, they also require a lot of family time, both for school and for leisure, of course. But it's all part of the game, and especially the latter part is done with a lot of love with the kids, of course. Mr. Tech Freak 95, welcome and thank you for joining us. Now, let's dive into some facts here, and I prepared a few slides here, so let me show you. Okay, so this is where we are at the moment. So Tesla is preparing or is opening up 10 locations. The city names are beneath the chart here, but you can see on the chart of the Netherlands where they are, and it's only for people in the Netherlands or for Tesla owners that are Dutch that this is now opened up, and for non-Tesla owners, sorry. I'm so used to talking about superchargers as being Tesla only that now we have to rewire the brain to actually say that this is specifically for non-Tesla owners, and everybody can install the app, the Tesla app, and then drive to a supercharger, one of those 10 locations, use the CCS adapter because it's only CCS compliant at this point. Now, it doesn't really have anything to do with the CCS protocol. It's more that the Type 2 charger is Tesla specific when it comes to DC charging, right? The Type 2 charger is the de facto standard for AC charging in Europe, but for DC charging, it's Tesla that is the only company that is using it in that way. So CCS, but every supercharger is equipped with either CCS only stalls, the V3, or you also have the V2 retrofit ones. So that's the first point. So it's CCS only, but basically any car that can do DC fast charging in Europe nowadays is brought out with the CCS adapter or plug. So what Tesla says in their briefing is that the chargers are what they are. They are not specifically saying we're going to reserve 2 chargers for non-Tesla vehicles and the rest for Tesla. No, it's every charger is going to be open. So yeah, there's a risk that every Tesla charger or every Tesla stall is going to be occupied by non-Tesla cars, and that is going to be a very weird sight. But I don't think we need to jump to those conclusions too soon, and we'll have to see how quickly this will build up. You're correct. You must have a plan B if you're going to a non-Tesla charger. That is my experience as well. I try to not use non-Tesla chargers too much. For me, they're more like in case of emergency that I use them, and I haven't been using them a lot in the past 6.5 years that I've been driving a Tesla, but they are there and they are good in case of emergency. Also, especially if you have free supercharging, it's definitely an in case of emergency, but right now those people are starting to decline that have the free supercharging. So that doesn't really factor in anymore into your choice, because Tesla can also go charge on Ionity, for example, or the Electrify America if you're in the US. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well in terms of pricing. The idea is for Tesla, of course, that they will do this in an iterative way. So they're doing this pilot right now. They're going to monitor it throughout the entire pilot, see if there is additional congestion, yes or no, or if there are some issues with certain cars that are charging there. They even have a section that says, well, if your cable or the plug, if it doesn't fit, because there are some tolerances around the thickness of the plastic and how much is left, or how much space has been created to accommodate for that on your charge port, for example. So even those kinds of things Tesla wants to know and wants to be able to adapt to that, to give everybody basically the best thing or the best experience that they can have. Now, where Tesla is very adamant is basically if the charging cable, they're not going to change those. So if the charging cable, which is already short, and I said before, this is going to be a problem, Tesla is doing the whole Yoda Star Wars things on us, saying there is no problem. If your car doesn't charge and the cable don't fit, then it's not our problem. So they admit that some cars will not be able to charge, but just because the cable is too short. Now, they also actively ask people to not park in such a way that you're blocking other stalls. Of course, that's difficult to enforce, but they're going to be monitoring that in this pilot phase, and they will see how to deal with that along the way. This is just the way that Tesla is doing things. They're rolling out something very locally. They test it, they try it again, and then just repeat and improve along the way. It's continuous improvement, as we know Tesla, as always. So yeah, that is something that we have to keep in mind, is that this is a trial. So nobody has to panic yet. If Tesla sees that, well, the superchargers are being overcrowded right now by other brands, they're going to find a solution before they are opening up all superchargers for that. And one solution is, of course, build a lot more of them. And of course, they're going to charge money for it, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. And with that money, they will have the ability to build more superchargers. And yeah, I think that's at least a positive thing, because that is beneficial for us as well. We'll have more charging spots. It's not only going to be more charging stations per spot, but also more spots or more locations. So that is definitely a good thing. And also, we have to keep in mind the motto or the mission statement of Tesla, and we all say it together now: to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy, or to accelerate the world's transition towards sustainable energy. And this fits right into that mission statement. As I've said many times before, even, and this is never going to happen anymore, but even if at this point Tesla would go bankrupt, they have succeeded in their mission statement, because all other car brands, well, almost all, except a few exotic ones, are moving towards EVs, and that would not have happened without Tesla. And on the other hand, you do have the Ionity, which is a heavily subsidized system, the same with Electrify America. You have Fastnet, which is an independent builder, of a charging network with high speeds and high capacity. But Tesla is privately owned, and they own everything about the superchargers, so they have full control about how to deal with those things. So they're not depending on government contracts or that kind of stuff in terms of how to build the supercharger network. So they are doing this in out of their own, but there are some positive sides to this as well. So for example, in Germany, there's been a lot of remarks about the supercharger network that it is Tesla proprietary and no other cars can charge there. Now with this, if this rolls out any further, they could open up some prime locations at, I don't know, golf courses, 5-star hotels, something like that, where they don't have access at the moment. Because first of all, Germany likes to have all the brands in a charger network. That's one point. But also the owner can now say, well, I don't like Teslas, so I don't want a supercharger here. But now placing a supercharger would bring other customers to him as well. And maybe he's a fan of, I don't know, BMW, Volkswagen, the other cars, Porsche, and they can all come and charge at his location now as well. So it would open up some new opportunities for superchargers locations as well. So I think that is really a good thing. Yes, Teslink, I agree, the charge port location on non-Tesla EVs is the biggest problem. And I think just like with the fuel port on the cars, which are either left or right, depending on where the car is coming from, if it's a Japanese car, or in general where they do the right-hand drive, then it's on the opposite side, but that's about it. You have two sides, and not it's in the front, it's in the back. You have a few exceptions there, but it's generally in the same place. Plus, with the supercharger, if you have the stalls in the back, for example, then it's not as easy. If you have the stalls that are perpendicular, then you can, or parallel, then you can drive a little bit further down or not as far down, and it will still fit. So those will be good sites for everybody, but the ones that have the supercharger stall at the end where you have to back in, those are the ones that are going to be problematic. But yeah, it's one of the problems that I've foreseen from the start. And as I said, Tesla is now just saying, if it doesn't fit, well, go charge somewhere else. So yeah. All right. Another thing is the pricing, of course. And when Tesla released it, there was not much known about the pricing. But in the meantime, some users have seen what the pricing actually is. And if we take a quick look at the pricing for Ionity first, and I'm not counting Ionity as in the sense of I have an MSP badge, like I use a plug surfing badge, or I have an Audi badge or a Volkswagen badge. That's different because Ionity has some special tariffs, like 1 year of free charging with a Porsche, I believe, something like that, or you charge at 15 cents. But if I would charge just paying using the QR code that is coming onto the screen, just using my app, just like Tesla is doing now, people are using the app, then I would pay 79 cents per kilowatt hour or per minute, depending on the location where it's not allowed to charge per kilowatt hour. And if you get a 17 euro 99 subscription, it is 35 cents. So 35 cents is what we usually pay here for 22 kilowatt AC charging on public charging stations. So that's actually quite a good price for super fast DC charging. But the 79 cents, that's quite hefty in terms of pricing. Now, if we compare this to what Tesla has to offer at the moment, instead of the $17.99 a month, you only pay $12.99 a month. So that's already $5 a month or €5 a month cheaper. and on the supercharger you will pay 25 cents to 35 cents per kilowatt hour, compared to the 35 fixed price with direct pay, as I mentioned, so with the scanning of the QR code on Ionity. And that means that if you don't have it, if you don't take the subscription, then Tesla only charges the surplus of 33 cents per kilowatt hour, and Ionity takes a 44-cent uplift. Now this is, and that's why at the top I say for now, Tesla is the better deal for now, but it's a pilot, and I would not be surprised if this pricing is going to change over time. Maybe they make it even cheaper, or if they see that it is being flooded and nobody's charging at Ionity anymore, well, then maybe they make it the same price and they go for a fixed price of 79 cents, or they do an uplift of 50 cents, something like that, so that it averages to 75 to 85 cents, something like that. Who knows? But that is part of the iterative deal with Tesla, or the iterative process with Tesla. To be honest, Link, at this moment, it is not entirely clear. I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, okay, if I go on holiday and I want to use a supercharger network, let's take a subscription for 2 months and that's it. So I'm not sure. Like with the FSD subscription, you can unsubscribe and resubscribe whenever you want, and you get it for the remainder of the month if you unsubscribe at a certain point. Here, I think it's a little bit more complicated, and we need to await more information from Tesla to be sure how this is going to work. Remember, it's the very first day that this is out, and a lot of people asking a lot of questions, and as usual, Tesla and communication, it's not the best combination. But we try to find out, and I've been talking to the Tesla Owner Club in the Netherlands as well, and they're saying, well, we're just trying to figure out together with Tesla how this is actually going to work and what kind of information needs to be shared. But yeah, it's an important question, and I think we'll get there. So yeah, that is definitely one important thing to keep in mind. So the pricing is now not fixed. Well, it is fixed for the moment, but it will probably change. And I do think that this is a good thing. At first, I was against it because, hey, it's our supercharger network, but you have to look at it from Tesla's perspective, and they are opening up the supercharger network. It will generate more income without them having to do anything, or not a lot, right? They had to create like an additional screen in the app that lets you select the charger and get the communication with the charger in place, but that's not a lot of development that needs to go on there. And in return, they're getting some additional money. They will see and they will monitor, they will safeguard our comfort. That is something that they explicitly mention as well. So they don't want to create any discomfort to the Tesla drivers. And I think that is definitely something that we have to keep in mind as well. But that is also why it's a pilot. And one other thing that we have to keep in mind when doing this is, or when discussing about this, is that it's not us versus them, in the sense that it's not Tesla versus Audi, it's not Tesla versus Porsche or Polestar or whatever. No, it's EV versus ICE, right? And I think that's an important one. We need a lot more superchargers, and Tesla is now seeing it's not happening with other brands. They are the only ones that are accelerating at such a pace. Ionity is going quickly as well, but not as quick as Tesla. But it is subsidized. So, and those subsidies will end someday. I don't know how far along they are with that, or what the exact contract is for that, but it is going to slow down once they reach a certain level. I think they are at above 400 locations now, which is not bad in Europe, not at all, but it's not enough. So Tesla is now saying, okay, let's generate some more income so we can build more superchargers faster. So I think in that respect, it's a good thing, because also other brands can now more easily drive to the south of France, to North Cape, to Italy, to wherever they want to go. Again, if this all rolls out to the entire supercharger network, of course, because we're still talking about a pilot that could last, I don't know, a year, maybe 2 years even. So that is definitely something to keep in the back of your mind as well. It's just a pilot at this moment. But yeah, other brands will benefit from this, definitely, because they get a huge supercharger network with their car for free. They're just paying even cheaper prices than Ionity for that. So the question that arises here naturally, and it's one of the first questions that I got, will Tesla actually suffer in sales from this? And the question is difficult, or the answer is difficult, because on the one hand, I'd say yes, they will suffer. They will lose some customers over the fact that you have customers that are now not willing to buy Tesla because it is Tesla. There's definitely brand loyalty going on. People driving BMWs will most likely continue to drive a BMW. The same for the other luxury brands like Audi, and definitely the brands like Porsche and such. They will stick to their brands, or prefer to stick to their brands. Of course, there are always exceptions. And they will have more options now, but I also see it as something else. Namely, just more people that are now not going to an EV because the obvious choice for them is Tesla, because they want a car that's their only car and they want to road trip with it, like in my case. And that becomes a lot easier with an electric Volkswagen, an electric Audi, an electric Mercedes. So we get more people into EVs than I think, then actually is going to take away from Tesla. Of course, there are people that are going to consider going to the other luxury brands, the German car brands, because of the quality issues that we all know that Tesla is still facing, although they have improved over the past couple of years quite significantly. But again, also on our side, especially on our side, we have brand loyalty. I take my car, for example. I have never had a car that has had so many problems like this one. But each of the problems got fixed in the end, and my next car will be another Tesla. So we have brand loyalty on our side as well. So we don't have to ignore that part. But of course, there are going to be others that say, well, I'm fed up with this and I'm going to look at other brands. Definitely something that we cannot deny. Teslink, it will be interesting to see if legacy car makers can change the charge port location to the rear left corner. Yeah. Is it necessary? That's a good question. I don't think it is necessary that it needs to be there. It could be just in the back, for example, but it needs to be within reach of the charging cables. Another way to put it is, if Tesla is going forward with it, will new stalls get longer charging cables so they can reach the other brands' charging port locations? Because I think that will be easier, and if they get some support somehow, maybe some subsidies from the different brands to build out those types of chargers with longer cables, that could also be a solution for the problem. So there's more than one way to solve these problems, but they exist at the moment and we need some kind of solution. So Ecamm, all these brands you've mentioned are sold globally. Tesla is sold only in a few countries and Tesla doesn't have production capacity supply the demand. This will change in 2022. That is true. And also what you have to keep in mind is that for the past, I think, almost year, Tesla has not been selling Model S's and Model X's in Europe because they were just not available. As of the announcement of Plaid, all orders have been put on hold, and my car also was supposed to arrive Q1 2022. Right now it says, we don't have a clue, we'll call you. So I hear rumors that it might still be Q1 2022, but that would mean that it's a full year without selling Model S, Model X, and still they are doing so well compared to the other brands, of course. So yeah, it's amazing, and Tesla will still have that flow from Model 3. Model Y is going to ramp up in Berlin, so there's going to be a lot of additional cars that are going to be coming at a more rapid pace. I mean, Model Y is being delivered but imported from China. If Berlin gets active by the end of next year, producing in volume, that will create some big volume changes on all the continents, basically. So yeah, longer cables wouldn't fit inside the Tesla supercharger stall design. We will see. Well, they might change the design, of course, or create an additional loop. Who knows? I don't have my crystal ball that tells me the future, but it's just a brain fart, so to speak. Like, this could be an option on how they do it. But again, coming back to the us versus them, so we want a transition to EVs for everyone. And that means also for people that can't afford a Tesla. Like for me personally, I can afford a Tesla because, well, I have a company, I can put it on as a company car, and that gives me some tax advantages, and it's cheaper if I put it on the company. And because, yeah, of a tax situation in terms of paying myself a wage and having to pay it from that or directly on the company. Privately, I still cannot afford a 70,000 euro Model Y that I would love to give to my wife to drive around with. But yeah, it's something that we cannot afford at the moment. So we need more affordable EVs. And there are more affordable EVs, but usually they are not capable of traveling all the way through Europe because of the shorter battery range, less charging stations that can do high performance or high power charging. With the supercharger network, even the smallest EVs could basically travel towards the south of France. That would be no problem anymore, and it would take them a lot less time than what they are doing right now. I mean, I know a few people that take their tiny EVs and drive indeed to the south of France, but it takes them a lot longer than with the supercharger network, of course, and that will also change. So I think there's going to be a lot of benefits indeed for other brands because they become more interesting for people to buy and to own as their one and only car. Like a 100% car, not just a 90% car, and then I need to rent one to go on holiday, for example. So that's one part, but also for Tesla, because this is a business opportunity for Tesla, and I think it's a little bit of easy money for them if they can make this work without getting into the way of the comfort that we have on the supercharger network and the comfort that we have known for the past 5 years that has grown incredibly. I still remember the first time I went on a road trip. You had the supercharger of, I think it was Uddevalla in Sweden, which was the topmost supercharger there, and my entire vacation was above that. So it was, yeah, preparing with an Excel sheet, like where is there a normal charger, how fast does it go, do I need a charging an RFID for that. So it was a lot of work preparing, and especially since it was the first time that I went on a road trip with an electric vehicle, it was kind of not really the range anxiety, but more like, where can I charge and will it work? It's not like, will I get there? No, it's more like, can I charge? And right now, I don't even think about it anymore. So yeah. Oh yeah, and definitely, Mr. Tech Freak, more EVs for everybody. Yes, that is exactly what Tesla wants. That is exactly, I think, what we as Tesla owners and Tesla lovers, we also want for the world, because by owning a Tesla and being an advocate for Tesla, we also indirectly support the whole idea of sustainable transport, where it all began with Tesla, of course, when the mission statement was still only about transport. Now it's about the total energy solution. And yeah, so I think for me personally, first I was against it, but right now I think it's a very good thing for Tesla to do this, but they have to do it right. If this is going to mess with the comfort and we're going to have queues every weekend, so to speak, then this is going to be bad for Tesla. But with the pilot program that they have, they definitely can monitor that, gauge what is going to happen and how much it is going to be used practically. I think in the first few weeks it will be a lot, because people want to try it and see it, and will probably get some funny pictures and some memes with other brands, the Tesla killers, charging on the Tesla network and then saying, well, it's all over for you guys. I'm fully expecting those kind of memes. But hey, I don't care. After that, it will die down, and then we'll see what the actual use will be. And Tesla, as we all know, is a data-driven company. They will use the data. They already have some data. That's how they picked the locations that they have now, because they have the data that they can do it there, and they can. They're not going to take the busiest supercharger in the middle of Amsterdam, for example, to do this. So yeah, they pick their spots. Like, okay, this is the data that we have. We think we can do it here. The risk is minimized, and they will see what they do, and gradually they will allow more people from abroad to charge in those spots before they extend the number of spots that that they have, or that they will offer to other car brands. Yeah, so Tesla can decide which locations are suitable to open for all EVs and which are not. Exactly. They have all the data. They have the data for how many cars are there at a given time. They have the peak times. They have the down times. They have the times how long a car is charging there. And probably they have some data or guesstimate data of the charging curves in some kind of algorithm, where they estimate, okay, in this location we can do it because we estimate that this will increase the load by so and so much. It's all about data. It's all about data. So yeah, there you have it. As I said at the beginning, not in favor. Right now, I think it's a really good thing and a good opportunity for Tesla to increase the number of stalls, and also to increase their own revenue. Not to gain the money, but to get more money to build more stalls. So Teslink, with non-Tesla cars having charge port on the wrong side and blocking 2 stalls, the number of available stalls per supercharger will be wrong at sometimes. Yes, unfortunately, that will be the case. But those will be the ones that you park nose in, so the parallel ones that I mentioned before. You could try backing in, but then depending where it's located, you might be blocking too much of the passage for other cars. But yeah, this is something that they will have to monitor and see how it will work. But I think they are going to be the exception, because if you have it on the left rear, it could also be on the right front, but then just park in backwards, for example. I know the Audi e-tron has 2 charging ports, and I think the DC one is on the right front. So if they drive in backwards, they should be able to use the exact same stall, I believe. But we'll see. Tesla has the data. I hope that Tesla, I'm not expecting them to share much of that data, but we will see in the next months. I think before the end of the year, we won't see any changes, but by the end of Q1, I think they will also already have some changes implemented to accommodate and to improve the whole system. All right, so any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to leave it here. I'll give you guys a few more seconds. But again, I want to thank you already for joining this live stream. It's always fun to have you guys here and to do this, to get this interaction. It's more fun for me also compared to doing a video where there's a lot of editing going on and a lot of me time at that point. So I love the interaction that I'm getting from you guys. So thank you very much for that, and thank you all for supporting the channel. So right now, there's nothing left for me but to say to you guys, thank you very much, and I see you in the next time. Bye bye.